Okay, got all the limbs cleaned up. That was about an hour and a half process. Then I've been setting up here. What we're going to do today is run a bunch of samples and ore that I've been collecting from different locations. The first sample we're going to run today is one from a mine that a good friend of mine has acquired. We went up and did some sampling, and if I've got some footage of where I got the sample from, I'll post it right here. But this is some fault gouge material on a vein. It's a quartz vein that's decomposed, and it looks like it's more or less fault gouge in there. It's really a lot of clay in it. Just the quartz is almost turned into just 100% pure clay. And so that's one of the samples we're going to run today. This was the oversized material from that vein. And then we're also going to sample another location on that same claim that he has further up on the mountainside. It was some interesting looking material. I don't know if there's anything in it, but it looks pretty promising. So we'll run that sample as well. If you hear in the background gunshots, it's opening day of deer season, so there's been gunshots all around this morning. As soon as daylight broke, gunshots everywhere. So we're going to run this material today and see what we come up with. I'll show you what we wind up with. You know, I don't know, some of these are from unknown mines that I have no idea. One of them's from a vein that I just stumbled across. It was actually, I was up snooping around one of the fires that we had locally, and a dozer line they cut through exposed a quartz vein. So I dug some of that material up and brought it home, and we'll sample that as well. So let's get to it. If I can get my rock crusher started this morning. It hasn't been started in months. Oh boy, that ought to be exciting. I left fuel in it. Okay. There's that knife I've been looking for. Fuel on. Let's take the belt off. See if we can just get it started. Throw the belt back on. Okay, everything's still tight. Looks tight. Okay, hearing protection. That's the oversized material from what we panned right out of that fault gouge vein. So what we're going to do is run each sample, and I'll just clean it out in between samples and just label each bucket what's in it. Then we'll do the cleanup afterwards. Pretty neat looking piece. I think we're going to have a mess in here. That stuff was I thought most of the moisture had gone out of it, but it was still pretty wet. So I think we're going to have a mess in there. I hate to even look at this. We got about 10 pounds. Good sample there. It's crushed pretty good, but boy, did it cake the inside of this thing. Oh boy. That's what happens when you do moist material and these ones that feed out the top like that. Works great for dry material, but you get anything that's got much moisture to it, it does this. It's still crushed good, but yeah. I went a little too far. That solid quartz doesn't like to break up super easy. threw too big a piece in. It almost got it broke up. Okay. You see my notes. See where the rest of these came from. Okay, each one of these, unfortunately, have to be done separate because they're different parts of inside my buddy's mine. So I kind of want to know if any of these other veins hold anything. So unfortunately, even these small ones, we're going to have to do them separate, which means you have to clean out all that each time, but it is what it is. These don't take too awful long to do. We've got most of our samples done. That one was a nightmare, but got most of these done, and a couple of them we may just pan out like that one there. It doesn't have a whole lot, but some of these ones have like 30 pounds of material. We may try out this gold cube right there. I've only used this thing a couple times, but it seems to work fairly well, so let's see how it works on hard rock material. Oh boy, that one's heavy. There's about 50 pounds in that one, and that is A12. I've got like 5 of those plastic scoops. You think I can find one today? Of course not. Those bigger chunks you see going down, those are not going through that screen in there. Those are usually chips that flip out and then come back down into the bucket from the hopper. Or there's stuff that was left over inside the drum. Out of that 50 pounds or so, this is what I have left from the gold cube. This bigger stuff either flipped in from when I was crushing it, it just flipped over out of the hopper down into the gold pan, or it was inside the mill when I cleaned it out. So we'll see if we got anything in here. I was hoping we might find something in here. I'm not sure running that gold cube without any jet dry, just running well water through it, whether this superfine gold's going to float and go on out. We'll find out. Well, I can tell you we don't have 2 or 3 ounces in there. Well, just as I thought, there's a lot of iron in that, mixed in that quartz that we crushed up. But a lot of silver looking material, but there, I don't see one. Oh, there is One tiny, tiny speck of gold. Oh, there's several. You'd even be able to see it on camera. There's some ultra fine gold in there, but pretty poor showing for 50 pounds of material. Okay, on to the next one. This one, there's such a small sample, it's maybe 10 pounds there. Oh, I'm just going to pan this one. I'll do it in 2 batches. I'm wondering that last sample that we just looked at, whether if there's any gold in there, if it's locked up in sulfides. Boy, this has got a lot of clay type stuff in it. If I remember right, this came from underground at one of the little veins we crossed that the old timers kind of ignored. It is almost all black sand. Step out in the sunlight real quick. Well, it appears there's a reason the old timers left that alone. I didn't see a speck in there. So sample A9, bust. Okay, so the last, most of the samples from my buddy's mine, besides the one of oversized that we already knew had free gold in it that you can just pan from the fault gouge, but it had some coarse material that I crushed up. It's got a little gold in it. Everywhere else I've sampled, nada. 1 or 2 little specks. So now we're going to jump over to a vein that I just stumbled across this summer. I stopped here, I seen a little float in the road. So A15 is this one. There's a little vein there and a little bit of float, a little bit of the country rock with it. And right here's the other part of A15. This was probably the widest vein at about 3 or 4 inches. The other one's about 3 inches. This one mainly looked like bowl quartz for the most part. A little bit of mineralization in it, not a ton. This one back up here, kind of the same thing. It had a little more minerals in it, a little more iron staining. And then A14, another vein here, another one there, both really small. This one, out of all of them, looked the most promising. It had a lot of rust in it, a lot of minerals in it. It looked pretty good. This one's a very narrow little vein, about 1 inch wide. It looks mainly like bowl quartz. I did pick up a little bit of float here too. And as you can see, this whole hillside, it's got veins all over in it, little stringers all over the place. I did pick up a few pieces of float down there and added to the A14 bag. There's another little vein right in here. You can kind of see it right up in there, another little vein. And down here, where is it? There's another little vein right in there. It runs a different direction. And then down here a ways, where was it? Right here we got a bunch of float in the road, and I think there's another little vein right in here covered up by dirt. But this stuff here looks like bowl quartz. Really no mineralization in it to speak of at all. So we're just going to stick with the samples we got and see if there's anything in those. So we'll find out how this turns out. I'm going along here. I thought I spotted another location where there's some float. Trying to point that out too, but I'm not seeing it. There's a start of a vein there, but it doesn't amount to much. Right in here, I picked up some little float pieces and added to A14. Well, we'll see if these hold any gold in them. It's really, really hard quartz, but it's got some interesting coloring to it. It's got some bugs in it here and there. So we'll see what this stuff looks like. This stuff's really hard to crush. You can probably tell from the sand, this is 90% quartz. Some of it just looked like bowl quartz, but there's others that had pretty good rust streaks through it and some mineralization. So I thought it was worth at least bringing a couple bags home and trying it out. And what I've been doing, I pre-label the bags when I throw them in my rig. I just label a bunch of bags, A1 through whatever, stick them in my little Nissan. And when I'm out and about, and if I see something, I'll just mark it on my GPS. I picked up a sample here, bag A, whatever, and bring it back. And it may be a while before I get to it, but this one, is a few months ago when I picked this one up. I've brought so many samples home over the years, and then I come home and crush them, and then I find they've got gold in them, but I have no idea where it came from. So that's my new method, is label the bags ahead of time and then just mark it on the GPS. I got bag A12 from this spot, and there's no questions later. Hey, if it does have gold in it, I know where it came from, as long as I keep those coordinates in my phone. And as Jeff Williams says, you're going to get wet.
My name is Jeff.
I haven't gained 100% trust in that gold cube. So these samples, I need to find a spot where I know what the gold content is, and then I can run it through that thing and compare it to hand panning it, and so I can trust that thing. Right now I don't really trust it all that much. I've used it on some placer gold for cleanup, and it works okay. But this hard rock crush stuff, I just not trusting it yet. It looks like little pieces of metal shavings from like right after you weld something. Like when you first built a gold Dremel or something, you'll get a bunch of this kind of looking stuff in here, but I'm trying to figure out why in the world I'm getting it now in this, because I've ran that thing enough, all that should be long gone. I'm not seeing much in this stuff. Okay, so it's several months later now compared to when I crushed those rocks, but I wanted to go through what we found by all that rock crushing and how the crusher worked. Now, overall, the crusher worked really well. Most of the material comes out about 100 mesh, up to about 30 mesh at the largest. Most of it's pretty small though. It works pretty well. I did find a couple issues, not really issues, but just things to keep in mind when the output of the crusher's up on the top like that. It works great to recirculate the material and crush it more, but if the material's moist, it does not work well at all. It just creates a mess. It all clogs up in the bottom because there's no way for it to get out down there. It sticks to itself and then plugs up the bottom. So with this crushing setup, it has to be dry to run it through there and work correctly. So just something to keep in mind if you happen to build one of these and you put the output on the top like that, your material does have to be really pretty dry. Have a little moisture in it and get away with it, but if you can feel the moisture on your fingers like you got wet when you pick it up, it's not going to work well. Trust me, it's just not. If I had to do it over again, I would put another screen on the bottom. So if I had to run wetter material, it would work, but I didn't. So it's not a big deal. I can just put the bags off to the side and they'll air dry enough in a couple months that I can crush it. For most of what I'm doing, that works fine because this is mainly just for sampling. So that works okay. Now, what did we find through all that crushing? Most of this material came from different locations. There was a fairly good bulk sample from a buddy's mine how can we say that and make it sound correct? I think English is my third language sometimes. A buddy of mine owns a mine. So he was up there experimenting, and up above where the portal is for his mine, there's been a lot of scratching on the hillside by various miners through the years. We took samples up there, some fairly good sized samples, 80, 100 pounds worth. We crushed all that up. It looked pretty good, but, uh, in our sample here, this is all dried out now. I think there's 2 specks of gold from all of that we crushed. There might have been 3 or 4 specks. There wasn't a lot of gold in that material. And after we crushed it, I ran it through a gold cube, and I saved the material because that's the first time I've used this gold cube. I bought it quite a while ago. First time I've ever used it. And I was worried that it wasn't going to catch super fine gold. So I saved the tailings and panned some of it. There just wasn't any gold to speak of. Now, what's funny about that is his mine, inside of it, it's got multiple quartz veins, which we took samples of and we crushed those. Some of them had, again, super, super fine gold. Now, the 4 specks I'm talking about are specks that you can easily see. There's some micro fine gold mixed in that stuff too. Now, in his mine, there's one really nice quartz vein back there. But alongside that quartz vein is fault gouge, very clayish fault gouge. You can pan that stuff and find gold in it. The quartz vein right next to it, we took some samples, not very big samples, but we took a little bit of sample out of there. I couldn't find anything in the quartz itself, but the fault gouge does have some gold in it. So, you may dig another 10 feet in there and that may drastically change, and the quartz has the gold in it. Who knows? But most of the samples were devoid of any gold to speak of. Now, I did find out on a fire line this last summer, a cat went through there and opened up a quartz vein. I don't think anybody knew that quartz vein was there. There's really not a lot of float around that's visible. So I was hoping, and it looks semi-mineralized, but there was nothing to speak of. I had about 40 pounds of that material. Didn't find anything in there as far as gold. So that was kind of a bummer. I was hoping we maybe found something new where that cat had cut that quartz vein, but unfortunately not. Some of the other samples were just old mines, dumps and stuff I'd had sitting here, so I went ahead and crushed them. The crusher is not the fastest thing in the world, but it sure beats crushing it with a mortar and pestle. Hands down, way better, way easier. The only issue I had with the crusher, really, besides I threw one piece of quartz in there that was a little too big and it was really, really hard quartz, is it stopped the thing up. So I had to take it apart and get the quartz out of there and break it smaller before I put it in. The only other issue I really ran into was taking that front on and off between samples to clean it out. It galled up one of the bolts, and they're not stainless, but it still galled it up and it wound up breaking that bolt. So I have to replace that. Other than that, the thing worked great. In the future, I think I would change the hole size where the bolts go through, because every time you take that front plate on and off, it kind of galls the threads up, by dragging that across them. And I think that's kind of what caused most of the problem with the lock or the nut locking up on there. Nut locking up. Yeah, nut locking up on the bolt. It's one of those days. So overall, it worked great. I've got some more samples I need to crush. I've been out exploring some mines I kind of want to find I don't want a big hard rock mine. I don't want to go file on some monstrous mine. I want something small, hopefully something that was just not quite enough for the old timers to get, make their fortune at, but might be plenty enough for me to go in, and if I can get a half, 3/4 ounce a ton type material, I'd be pretty happy at the price of gold today anyway. So that's kind of my goal right now. I'm looking slowly. It's not like my life ambition right now to go get that claim and that mine, but I'm looking, I'm looking for something that's got some free mill gold, easy to go out with the family, get some, bring back a few 100 pounds and run it through the mill and see what we've got. So that's what I'm looking for. I've been out sampling different old mines. Most of them I haven't turned up much. So we'll see what the future brings. And that's one thing I want to say about prospecting. There's a reason it's called prospecting and not mining. I think 90% of what you do prospecting is digging and finding nothing. It's that 10% and even that 5% that really makes it fun and worthwhile. The 90% is kind of boring, but it's part of the chase. I enjoy it. Um, it's kind of, I don't know, maybe this is the way gamblers feel. I'm not a gambler myself. That feeling of, oh, just this next flip of the card or whatever, that's going to make me rich. Well, the next flip of the shovel, that's going to uncover something that nobody else has ever seen, and it's going to make me a little jingle in my pocket. So, that's part of the prospecting process is you don't always find a big nugget. You don't always find a half ounce of gold every trip, but it's the thrill of the chase trying to find it, I think, is what excites me about it. So again, we didn't find much on any of the samples we crushed. And when I first saw that there was really nothing showing up in the gold cube, I blamed it on it. I'm like, oh, there's got to be, some of these samples looked really good. But I went through and panned the tailings. There just wasn't anything there. So it's part of the process. You got to figure out where it's not. And eventually it'll lead you to where maybe it is. So anyway, thanks for watching, subscribing, thumbs up once in a while. It's greatly appreciated. We'll see you guys on the next video.